Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He is Justin Byerly. Welcome to Monday here on the Fast Break. And this week, we've got something to talk about. We got to talk about the Asheville Classic. It's in the books, Justin Byerly. We had a good 4-game slate there in your hometown in Western North Carolina, the beautiful city of Asheville at the Christ School. We're going to run through the games, run through the action, run through the notes, run through the MVPs, breakout guys, the guys that took advantage of the stage, all the good things that come with covering a stage. But first of all, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad everything went smooth Saturday and got Sunday to take it easy, and I'm back at it today.
I love it. I love a good four-game event, but I also love an event that the last tip-off time is 5:30. So good on you for scheduling that. If you've done basketball long enough to know, that is an absolute win when you're going to a one-day event. So good on you, and hopefully the teams enjoyed it as well. Let's kind of get into it. Justin, was there a top game of the action, one that was really trending from the action on Saturday?
Yeah, so we started out, with a bang. Collins Hill and AC Reynolds had a really tight game, followed by some games that maybe weren't so close. But, the top guy probably that we saw was going to Kansas for Keith Passmore. Surprise for you, right?
Yeah, shocker. I can't believe it.
Yeah. He had 21 points. Really showed, the last time he played in Asheville was when he played at AC Reynolds. So, back then he not really shooting it much, but Saturday knocked down 5 threes, ended up with 21 points. He's just added so much to his game. He's going to do really well out there with Coach Self in Kansas.
Yeah, I think so too. And that was one of the questions that I kind of wanted to ask you. You've seen Rakeese Passmore from really the starting block, if you will, from his high school career, being there in Western North Carolina to where he is now, a national recruit, probably a McDonald's All-American, at least an All-American in some category, in some respects. Obviously going to Kansas, has a chance to be one of the best players in the Big 12, which is one of the best conferences in college basketball, playing for one of the best coaches in college basketball. So certainly there's accolades that come with that. But have you kind of seen his story play out? Where have you seen the biggest progression for him as a player and even as a prospect?
Yeah, so when we first started getting some looks at Rakeese, prototypical Florida athletic, try to dunk everything type player, which when you bring that up to the mountains of West North Carolina,
sure,
you shine really easy, and people are, gosh, who is this guy? And then over the last year and a half, he's really worked on his shot. I mean, he's a consistent threat from beyond the 3-point line. And at 6'4", that athleticism level is gonna, it's not gonna even out, but it's gonna close the gap. So now that he's got that shot, he's just it's gonna really it's just gonna create a lot of opportunities for him.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time I watch him play, I'm a big comp guy, a big player comp guy, and I kind of run the gamut. Is there anybody that kind of stands out to you, the style of game that he resembles?
Yeah, it's a different one because he is just so athletic, and he was just known for changing a game with a dunk or a big block, and now he's more on the perimeter, and he's taking the open shot instead of back then he was driving to the hoop, straight line drives. So I don't have anybody. I thought you might have somebody that compared to.
I do. I wanted to see if you had somebody, but I didn't want to steal the shine. I saw some flashes of Malik Beasley, honestly.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course, you would have something that probably makes perfect sense for that.
I mean, I was a big Malik guy coming up, and I see a lot of similarities. Big, like you said, big athletic guy, can really get buckets in a hurry, and we've seen that still even to this day with Malik Beasley, even now with the Bucks. I mean, and honestly, I didn't think Malik Beasley would be a tenured guy in the NBA when he was coming up out of the high school ranks. So I'm trying to give Keith a little bit more leeway, and to be a starter in the league for almost a decade is really a stamp of a good game, obviously. But that's kind of what I see when I see Keith Passmore too, going out there and being what he's been. All right, well, let's kind of go through again. Let's go back to that AC Reynolds Collins Hill game. What was it about that game that really stood out to you?
Yeah, so I've known Tyson Bumgarner, head coach Ty Bumgarner's son, for a long time, like we talked about on the last show. and he came to play Saturday. Knocked down 5 threes, finished with 15 points to lead the way for Collins Hill. They ended up having an 11-point win over AC Reynolds, who I feel like with the schedule they've played and playing in this event Saturday are going to be the team to beat in the mountains. Declan Brown, a junior guard, had a really good game. Shooter, takes the ball off the dribble, gets to the basket. Another junior, Grant Clayton, 6'7" forward, passes the ball really well for his size, played really well. And so I think AC Reynolds is going to be the team to beat up here in the public schools.
Let me go back to Tyson Bumgarner for a second. Anytime I'm a big fan of Coach's sons. I'm a big fan of, kids that just kind of grew up in the gym, going with dad. Obviously, we know Ty really well. Coming to our events and, obviously his history there in the state of North Carolina. Now it's not surprising to hear that he's 6'4", his dad's a tall guy, and not surprising to hear that he can really shoot the ball. I feel like we're starting to see like this real quick ascension for a guy that is in store for a big year, not just in Scholastic, but also in the travel season, which is, right around the corner coming up there. Like how, for you in seeing him and kind of knowing the history, like how would you project like the next 12 months in your opinion for him?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to, just kind of use this platform we had on Saturday as a jumping point to the rest of the season. And then, going into your senior season, that junior travel season summer is huge. So
it's so big. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's he's not sure which team he's playing with, but, with that size and the shooting ability is there. We saw it Saturday. I think he could project at the low major level.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe this falls in this category. I was going to ask you, like, who is like the biggest stock riser of the event? Does he fall in this category? Certainly one of the guys that we considered.
Yeah, he's definitely, thinking about, I had another guy that I was probably going to use for the show, but yeah, Bumgarner would be my top 2 guy for stock riser.
Who's the other one?
Yeah, it's a kid out of Combine Academy. Just stay with me on this one.
I'm with you.
El Hadjo Diallo, a 6'8" sophomore, multiple offers already for Combine. He was just a guy that I haven't had my chance to see yet, but he really stood out as a sophomore. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for him.
What did he do?
He's just long. He's a rim runner, shot blocker. Just one of those guys that brings a lot of energy out on the floor, and is just going to be really good in the next couple of years.
How many times do you think in your career you've said the term rim runner?
I haven't said it a lot, but recently a lot more.
Yeah, I feel like that's a term that I'm using more and more. That's the only reason I'm asking. Like, I feel like that is now, back in the day, it was like just a bruiser, right? Or like just like a beast from block to block, like unbelievable on the boards or something. And now it's like rim runner is like the real sexy thing to be as a combo big man.
Yeah, it's true. I see myself putting it in when I'm writing and stuff like that. So I never used it before.
If you're watching this, leave a comment below on Twitter, on YouTube. What's another good phrase to use for a multi-skilled big man? I'd love to hear. So people got to get creative. Help us out a little bit. I don't want to use AI. I want to use the people, man.
Right.
I want to crowdsource. Let's see what you guys got. Who's the best underclassman of the day?
Yeah, so I thought that Gaffney, South Carolina, has a kid, Ricky Littlejohn, 5'10" guard. I think he scored 20 points against Christ School, but as a freshman coming into that atmosphere, and I think Gaffney is down over the last couple of years, but they got a new coach. I think we remember the LJ Peak days of
sure.
Gaffney. But as a freshman to come into that atmosphere, against the best team in the state and have 20 points, I think he's going to be a guy that we're going to really watch.
Great basketball name, Ricky Littlejohn. Like It sounds like a character out of a great, like eight-part series on Netflix or something. It follows a high school team around Ricky Littlejohn. It's easy to remember. He's a freshman, you said?
He's a freshman, yeah.
Okay. South Carolina, man, like we've said this all the time. It's a state that I know that if you really want to find a deep cut guy and somebody to kind of chart, especially a guard that can go out there and get buckets, South Carolina never disappoints when it comes to that. When you have 4 games, you got 8 teams, you've got a nice variety of teams from 3 different states coming in there to play. What were some of your takeaways, some of your storylines, some of the lessons that you learned from your point of view there?
Yeah, so I mean, the second game of the day was Hendersonville out of North Carolina against Lancaster, South Carolina, which features Jordan Watford. Many publications have him as a top 100 prospect.
Yeah.
He was really good in that game against Hendersonville. I think it was about a 25 or 30 point win, but Hendersonville's down a little bit. They've had some injuries. But Watford showed that, why he's got that ranking. I think he finished with 10 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He was just doing everything on the floor. So, that was a takeaway that I had, that, sometimes we see these rankings and we don't see a guy, in 6 months, and then to see him be able to affect the game in so many ways, you can tell why he's ranked that high.
Yeah, I'm a big value guy. I watch the Suns a ton, right? And so I went and watched them play Sacramento the other day. And it wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm always amazed when I go watch the NBA on how the real great ones touch the game in so many different categories, right? Like, we know Devin Booker can go out there and score buckets, and we know that De'Aaron Fox is really, really fast. And like Domantas Sabonis, I freaking love that guy, because the guy is such a threat on points, rebounds, assists. He can score, rebound, and pass it. And you look at this, evolution of Devin Booker, of how he's really grown as a point guard, and all these multiple facets that you can bring to the table. And I think if you're a young player now that's like a 6'5" to 6'8" guy, sure, you can go be a rim runner, like we were talking about earlier, but your ability to affect the game in so many categories, particularly passing, finding great shooters, open shooters, is such a underrated skill. And it always kind of has been. But as much as we value shooting now, guys that can get the ball to somebody that's open for an open shot, to me, is sometimes way more impressive than a guy that gets a dunk on the open floor. And I feel like Watford's one of those guys that has a lot of facets to his game that are just starting to kind of get polished, going into this part of his high school career.
Yeah, totally agree.
What other things did you kind of take away?
I think Christ School has probably one of the top 2 or 3 unsigned seniors in the state, maybe even the region. Keenan Wilkins, 5'10" point guard. Just absolutely, the game is slowed down for him so much. He doesn't make mistakes. He has a McNeese State offer and a Jacksonville offer, but I think a college program is going to, once he picks a school, a lot of them are going to really regret not recruiting this kid.
Did we see him? Was he the kid at Gibbons that would hit the buzzer beater for Team Person? Is that right?
So he was with Upward Stars Upstate that
That's
beat
what it was.
101.
Yeah.
He had 31 points.
Yeah. An absolute just elite scorer, fearless beyond belief. Yeah. Yeah.
5'10", 5'10" guard just gets it done.
Babyface killer.
Babyface killer. That's it.
I actually think we need to have a category that's just called the babyface killers, because we've seen so many guys, Ben Shepherd's one of those guys that's now on the roster that got drafted by the Pacers, had a great career in college there at Belmont. And then you look at guys, I'm not calling Keenan Wilkins Steph Curry, but Steph Curry was the same thing, right? He just didn't look like a guy that was going to beat you, but I'll be damned if he didn't beat you all the time. And so you kind of live and you kind of go with it. Jordan Vick is another guy that's going to East Carolina. That you probably on first glance, okay, then he goes out there and he torches you. I think there's so many guys like that if you can get that ball in the basket. I think about even going back to Devin Downey back in the day, out of South Carolina, Cincinnati, transferred to South Carolina, was such a killer when it came to getting buckets like that. Keenan Wilkins, I'm with you, man. With the guy that I saw back in May at Gibbons, fearless, man, totally fearless.
Yeah,
baby. I don't think either you or I would ever get that category, sadly.
Sadly, yeah.
Sadly, I think those days are gone. I think this gray hair probably dissuades us from being that.
What hair?
Yeah. There's that too. There's that. Any other notes? Any other takeaways? Anybody else want to get in here?
Well, I was gonna, just let everybody know about the college programs we had. Appalachian State came through, Florida International came through, High Point University, and Lander came through. So we had, for a Saturday when a lot of teams were playing, I thought we had a good crowd of college coaches there.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a pretty good segue too. I was pulling this up on my phone as you were talking earlier. We've got an event that if you're in the Western North Carolina area, whether you have a high school team or a middle school team, that you're going to want to know about, the Tennessee Tip-Off. We're going to call it the TNT. We're going to Knoxville, downtown Knoxville, to their convention center, March 29th to the 31st. It's going to really kind of be a good tip-off event for us to get started on the season. We're really excited about this event. It's our first time that we've been running. We're going to run this event. But if you're in Western North Carolina, it's a pretty quick trip over there to Knoxville. Should be a really nice time of the year. Getting over there, we'll have a full house there at the convention center. So we're really excited about getting into Tennessee and into that area. The week after that, we got the HoopSeen tip-off down at Somebody Sports Academy, and then a couple other things. I wanted to bring up the Carolina Jam. I was going to say, I knew we had it on the calendar. So May 10th through the 12th, we're going to have it in the Charlotte area in Concord, Indian Trail, Carolina Courts. We're going to run that May 10th through the 12th in 2024. So make sure you go to hoopseen.com/events. Go check out our entire events page. We got events for boys teams, girls teams, middle school teams, high school teams, elite teams, hyper local teams, whatever your level of team, we got you covered. Make sure you go over there and check that out, hoopseen.com/events. And if you saw Jannard Hartley, hopefully our director of sales and team event experience there at the event, hopefully you get a chance to break bread with him and say what's up to him. And I'm sure you'll see him around as well. So pretty good day, sounds like, for you, JB. And the team.
Yeah, it was good. I actually have one comparison for you for a kid that I saw.
Oh, I love it. I'm never going to get in the way of a player.
All right. You remember Chandler Jackson from Team Thad, Florida State?
Totally. Yeah, I love him.
So Combine has a kid, Chandler Watts. Just reminded me so much of Chandler Jackson. 6'5", one of those guys that is just, he's going to make tough shots. He's going to play as hard as he can. And I really felt like this kid was just like a Chandler Jackson.
Yeah, the Chandlers, man, that seems to be the brand there for the Chandlers. If you got that name, that's going to be what it's going to be. So make sure you go follow Justin on Twitter, on X. JB, what's your Twitter handle this week?
At TJB Scouting.
Oh, man, it's a long-running account now. It's a tenure. I love it. Make sure you go follow HoopSeen NC, HoopSeen North Carolina as well as our HoopSeen channel that you're watching this on Twitter right now. And make sure you like and subscribe over there on YouTube as well. Do us a favor and help us out there. We'll see you over there. JB, this was good. We'll see you next time right here on the Fast Break. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. See you.